Tuesday, August 22nd, 2017, Monaco 64, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. So it's around 8:30 a.m. London time. Gold still being held hostage to the Japanese yen moves against the US dollar. And why do I say that? Hostage? Well, I think it's clear that the powers that be, the bullion banks, the central banks, the major Western governments, not Eastern governments, are trying to keep gold from going a lot higher and making, noises out there. And right now, technically, this 212.95 level is still being kept, under control, so to speak. On Friday, we broke through that level. We went up above 1,300. But then, late in the day on Friday, they were able to bring it down below 1,300 during, the usual COMEX spiel, where they bring the market down when the market's thinner after the close. Yesterday, we got up to almost 1294. Overnight, we got up to around 1292.50. That was just past midnight London time. And at that time, the dollar was below 109 against the yen and wasn't looking too good. I think yesterday the dollar got down to 108.60 against the yen, which was breaking recent lows. The key level after that's 108.13. So the dollar not looking very good against the yen, which usually helps gold versus the dollar or the gold price. This morning, but after around 1 o'clock a.m. London time, the yen suddenly, the dollar suddenly spiked higher against the yen. About, let's say, 35 minutes ago, there was a final spike in the dollar yen, and we got up to, let's see, dollar yen. Yeah, got up to like almost 109.50, and that's when gold got down to 1282.94. Right now, the dollar yen is at 109.33, still up 35 pips. Gold has rebounded a little bit off that 1283 low, really. We're now at 1285. So it's kind of frustrating right now looking at the chart of gold. Yeah, it looks like if we do break back above 1295, 1300, we could really get going. The other thing, every time, they bring gold down the last few days, 4 or 5 days, it seems to have no traction to the downside, so to speak. They can't really get it below 1280. So it's, and the high today has been above, the low today so far is above yesterday's low. So it looked like they weren't successful. And it's not surprising they tried it around 8 a.m. London. That's when most people are already in London and also in the continent. Most people, I mean, in the foreign exchange market, because that's where they attack gold in the LBMA, which is considered a currency, gold and silver. They also get help, I guess, from the futures market, but mostly it's the over-the-counter foreign exchange market or bullion bank market. So what else is going on? Well, silver, not surprisingly, was hit a little bit. We got down to 1690 overnight. We're now around 1696. Copper, by the way, we've been following copper here, and I've been saying that it could be a precursor to silver doing well. And copper actually has broken through, high-grade copper COMEX has broken through the $3 level this morning. We're up 26, almost 1%. We're at 301 cents or $3.01. So, and the highest has been $3.02. So copper looking very good. I read yesterday how industrial metals, like zinc and other base metals are doing very well, and people are perplexed. They're speculating that it's, the Chinese loading up or hoarding industrial metals. It could be, but I think sometimes bull markets start when people least expect it. So that's interesting that the industrial metals and also the precious metals are starting to look a little better. Copper and silver are highly related. So in terms of the stock market, it looks like the Dow is doing well this morning. We're up 0.33%, up 68 at 21,770. S&P up 7 at 24.34. The pound's weaker this morning. It's down 0.33%, 128.54. And the pound in gold terms for my UK viewers is, has been really hovering around this 1,000 level. It looks like someone doesn't want gold to go above 1,000 in pounds. I mean, it's quite easy to keep track now. Gold is 12.85, which is almost like, and pound is 128.50. So if you just change the decimal points, gold is 128.50 at 53. The pound is 128.53. Every time gold seems to go up and break through above 1,000 in sterling, you will see, maybe the pound also, go up against the dollar in order to keep that 1,000 levels. It's quite unusual to see that. You can see how there is probably control by the Bank of England through, their agents, bullion banks, to keep the pound steady and not let it go down so much against gold. Euro, 117.86, down 27 pips. Crude oil, still unable to get through that, WTI crude, unable to get through above 50. We're at 47.85, up 29 cents. What else? Well, there's an interesting story here in Zero Hedge. It says Mnuchin visits Fort Knox, says gold is safe. So that's the U.S. Treasury Secretary, Stephen Mnuchin. And it says here, Mnuchin had a busy day today, shortly after warning once again that that a U.S. debt ceiling deal has to be done by late September, or else the country will run out of cash and suffer a technical default. Roughly around the time he hinted that, Trump may keep carried interest tax breaks for some firms that create jobs. The former hedge fund manager and Hollywood producer paid a rare official visit to Fort Knox to check out the nation's gold stash on Monday, while, as Bloomberg put it, keeping an open mind for future film projects. And he said, apparently when he was there, "I assume the gold is still here," Mnuchin told an audience in Louisville, Kentucky, some 40 miles north of the biggest U.S. bullion depository. And except, of course, for the foreign gold stash at the New York Fed. That's a quote from Zero Hedge. And he says it would really be quite a movie if we walked in there and there was no gold. That's what Mnuchin said. It's unclear if Mnuchin was envisioning a comedy or a drama. And it says, after the visit, Mnuchin, who was the first U.S. Treasury Secretary to visit Fort Knox in nearly 70 years, playfully reassured Americans that Treasury was still secure. And he actually said, "Glad gold is safe," he wrote in a post on Twitter. So, of course, there's been a lot of speculation about the gold at Fort Knox and the U.S. Treasury gold, which was actually confiscated. The gold, Fort Knox was built in the 30s to deposit the confiscated gold from the American people that the Fed confiscated on behalf of the U.S. Treasury and on behalf of President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who was supposed to be a great president, but he stole the people's gold. Well, confiscated. It was legally done. He used a law passed during World War I to confiscate Americans' gold. And the reason he did that in 1933 is that there's a complete meltdown of the banking system, and there were bank runs all over the place. And so when he came in, he was inaugurated in March 33. He had to declare a bank holiday, which meant they closed all the banks, and so people couldn't get their gold out or money out. And then he passed, the Gold Confiscation Act, which imposed heavy fines and imprisonment on Americans that held monetary gold, gold coins. And Americans were, forced to take their gold to their regional Federal Reserve banks and exchange it for paper, Federal Reserve notes or paper dollars, fiat dollars, at $20.67 an ounce. So if you brought a $20 gold coin, which is just under an ounce, you would get $20 in paper. And then a few months later, January 30, 1934, there was the Gold Act, I think it was called, and he revalued overnight 1 ounce of gold to 35. So the Treasury, had all this gold confiscated from the American people, and then revalued it in 1934. The Treasury, the U.S. government, made a fortune, 75% increase. And the American people were left holding the bag. So you can see why people don't trust the Treasury. And there hasn't been an audit, I don't think, since the 1950s of the gold at Fort Knox. Interesting that Mnuchin, is the first Treasury Secretary here, according to him, since John Snyder in 1948 to go have a look at the gold. Why now? So that's an interesting story about Fort Knox and why the gold is there. And a lot of that gold there is probably also not deliverable in the international markets because they just melted all the coins, and the American coins are mostly 90% gold. And if you trade bullion in the international markets, it has to be 999 gold. So that's it for now. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. And yeah, I'll talk to you later. Take care. Bye.